What if this person you can't get out of your head wasn't there by chance? What if, in reality, Allah was gently, subtly showing you that maybe this person is the one? Not just someone you like, but someone your soul recognizes. Because there are signs you can't ignore. Little details, synchronicities, things that align too well to be mere coincidences. In this video, you will discover the signs Allah sends you to say, yes, this is the person. Approach with intention. Move forward with faith. If you're here right now, it's probably not by chance either. Stay until the end. This message could well be for you. 1. The sign of inner calm, the language of the peaceful heart. There are people who enter your life, and suddenly, your soul stops shouting. No panic, no agitation. Just a kind of silent, almost sacred peace, as if your heart had found a familiar place in a foreign body, as if, without knowing it, you'd been waiting for this tranquility your whole life. It's not an excitement that burns quickly. It's not a euphoria that rises and falls. It's something deeper, a calming, a pure calm, a sakina. You know, sometimes Allah doesn't speak through words. He speaks to you through states, and your heart, which is under His control at every moment, begins to vibrate differently around certain people. It doesn't race out of fear. It doesn't cling out of dependence. It opens out of trust. And this trust wasn't something you built. It was given to you. It's a gift. It's not logical. It's not even explainable. It's as if the soul recognizes another soul. You feel this calm not because the person is perfect, but because they are just right, just for you, just for your rhythm, just for your balance. They don't take up all the space in your head. They don't overwhelm you with their presence. They are there gently but firmly. And in this subtle silence between the two of you, Allah makes you understand something. It is through me that this peace is here. Most relationships create tension, doubts, and incessant questioning. But not here. You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to search. This calm that settles in is a message in itself. It is Allah telling you without saying, observe what you feel in my presence when you think of this person. And what you feel is not ordinary attraction. It is a form of inner rest. It's your soul that breathes better. Many spend their lives chasing butterflies in their stomachs, forgetting that sometimes the true sign of a bond willed by Allah is the calm in the chest. This kind of bond doesn't create chaos. It pulls you out of it. This kind of bond doesn't distance you from yourself. It brings you back to it. This kind of bond. When you make dhikr, you think of this person gently. When you rest your forehead on the ground, you mention them without fear. You ask Allah to protect them, even if it's not for you. And even then, you feel peace. This is the purity of a halal bond, even before it begins. And if, when you feel lost in your life, thinking of this person soothes you, it may be because they don't divert you from your path, but bring you back to it. You see, it's no coincidence. It's a reminder, a mirror, a divine confirmation that you may be on the right path. For Allah doesn't bring a peaceful soul into your life for you to waste in insecurity. He places them there as a light to enlighten you. And you'll notice something even more powerful. This calm doesn't depend on her physical presence. You may not speak to her for days. You may not know what she's doing. But nothing changes in your heart. You don't need constant proof. You don't need control. Your heart remains stable, constant, as if it knows this bond is in the hands of a master who never makes a mistake. So maybe it's not love in the sense people seek. Maybe it's better than that. Maybe it's a divinely inspired bond, one that begins not with words, but with calm. the calm of a heart in the hands of Allah. 2. When the du'as begin to align. There are times when you make du'as without truly understanding the scope of what you're asking for. You rest your forehead on the ground, tears flow, and you say, "O Allah, send me someone who will lift me up, someone who will push me towards you." And you leave, sometimes forgetting the depth of this request. But what you don't know is that every word, every sigh of your soul, every thought you have entrusted to Allah has been heard. He never forgets. He never lets a supplication float unanswered. And sometimes the answer comes in the form of a person who enters your life without noise, without drama, without promises, but with an invisible and powerful impact. Suddenly, you realize that you are praying more, that your heart is opening a little more each day. You rediscover verses you'd forgotten, and you realize that this change didn't come by itself. It was triggered by her or by him. It's not a simple stroke of luck. It's a disguised mercy. Allah may have given you what you asked for, but not in the form you imagined. It may not be the person you were physically describing. It may not be the perfect story in fairy tales, but it's someone who, in their silence, in their faith, in their simplicity, has awakened in you what even your prayers had forgotten. You feel that this person isn't just drawing you to them, but also drawing you to Allah. When you want to give up, they gently say to you, "Rest in Allah." When you want to respond to pain with anger, she says, "Respond with sabr." When you doubt your own worth, she reminds you that you were created with nobility. She's more than a potential partner. She's a spiritual mirror. And that's never by chance. People think that the answer to dua always comes in the form of spectacular miracles. But sometimes it comes in the form of an ordinary human being who instills in you a peace you've never known. And you realize that your prayers have become incarnate, that the words you said in secret are now before you, in flesh and in faith. But be careful. This connection isn't there for you to get lost in. It's there for you to find your way. For the true proof that it was Allah who sent it to you is that this person isn't taking his place. It doesn't become an obsession. It becomes a direction. It pushes you to be better, to elevate yourself, to pray not out of routine, but out of love for the bond you're building with Allah. And sometimes you find yourself making the same dua again. But this time it's no longer, "O Allah, send me someone." It has become, "O Allah, allow me to honor what you have given me, not to spoil this bond you have entrusted to me, to walk with this person, within your limits, with your blessing." Because you know it's not enough for someone to help you feel good. True beauty is when they help you return to yourself, to your essence, to your fitra. And if this person helps you hear your own inner voice, if they strengthen your connection with the divine, if they help you transform your wounds into invocations, then perhaps you're not just living a beautiful story. You're experiencing an answer. You're experiencing an incarnate Amin. And in this noisy world where everything moves too fast, the true sign is when everything aligns exactly as you asked without you even realizing it. Not because you forced it, but because Allah willed it. And when Allah wills, everything falls into place. 3. Your intentions meet before your eyes. There are relationships that begin with a look, and there are those that begin with an intention. No unnecessary words, no pretense, just clarity, a will, a respect for the sacred framework even before feelings take shape. And that's rare. It's noble. It's powerful. When your intentions align, everything changes. You don't play. You don't test. You don't manipulate. You move forward with modesty, with caution, with an awareness that what you're building doesn't really belong to you. It belongs to the one who unites hearts by his permission. And this isn't just emotional complicity. It's an alliance in the making, a shared will to move forward without disobeying. You don't need to be close every day to exist. Because what binds you together isn't blind attachment. It's a lucid intention, an intention that says, I'm not here to fill a void. I'm here to build with you in what pleases Allah. You talk about serious matters. You talk about principles, about the future, about responsibilities. You heard him say, I want to preserve this bond in a halal way. I don't want to touch you except with Allah's blessing. I don't want to lose you because I would have crossed the boundaries he has set. And at that moment, you understood that this wasn't a person like any other. You understood that this relationship doesn't begin with pleasure. It begins with taqwa. And this kind of bond leaves a mark on you. It stabilizes you. You feel you can commit, not out of fear of being alone, but out of a desire to be aligned with your values. Because this person doesn't push you to disobey to prove their love. They push you to be patient to earn it. They look at you with respect, speak to you with restraint, and move forward with you in transparency. And sometimes you didn't expect this kind of person. You thought you'd have to build everything on your own. You thought you'd have to lower your standards to be loved. But Allah showed you that sincerity attracts sincerity, and that there are still souls who prefer to walk slowly in halal rather than rush towards the forbidden. That's when you see another sign. They're not hiding from you. They're not living in the dark. Their intentions are clear. The steps are respected. There's this desire to introduce you to the family, to talk about real things, to talk about nikah, not disguised flirting. And then you understand that it's not just a love story. It's a process, a construction, an ibadah. Because in this world where many want to taste without commitment, finding someone who honors you before even having you, that's a sign of exception. And if this person sets boundaries, it's not to hinder your bond. It's to protect it, to preserve you. So that one day, when you find yourself under the same roof, you can say, Ya Allah, we weren't perfect, but we tried. We walked in the light. We refused to lose ourselves in order to please each other. Because halal love isn't love that you consume. It's love that you build. And when two intentions meet, even before glances are exchanged insistently, it is perhaps because Allah has already given His permission in the invisible for two hearts to seek each other with sincerity. 4. When obstacles mysteriously disappear. You can't explain why, but this time everything is different. Before, it was always difficult. You invested yourself, you prayed, you hoped, but nothing held. Discussions ended in silence. Connections faded into the background. Projects were built on sand, and every attempt seemed doomed to failure, as if something were preventing you from moving forward. But now, with this person, there's no struggle, no resistance, no inexplicable heaviness. On the contrary, things fall into place without you having to force anything, as if the pieces of a puzzle naturally fell into place. One day, you wake up and realize that families are open, that a once taboo subject suddenly becomes fluid, that circumstances you thought were immutable begin to shift, as if the invisible had flipped a switch, as if Allah was saying, now. And you remain silent in the face of this newfound ease. It's not an arrogant or naive ease. It's a sacred ease, a guided fluidity. You can't really explain it to others because it defies logic. It's the kind of moment when you feel beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are no longer alone in this connection. Before, there were walls. Today, there are only open doors. You wanted to wait for the right time. But Allah Himself showed you that the time is when He decides, and sometimes all you have to do is follow the flow He has traced. Not the current of your emotions, but the current of Qadar, the one who doesn't ask to be understood but accepted. And this current carries you, not like a wave crushing you, but like a gentle wind guiding you. You no longer control. You accompany. You observe. And you realize that the control you were seeking before, He had it from the beginning. This person entered your life as an answer, not loud, not spectacular, but clear, stable, silently evident. And this silence becomes your sign, for where there was noise before, conflicts, misunderstandings, endless delays, there is now simplicity. And in this simplicity, there is a message. You are no longer the one pulling the rope. It is Allah who opens the way for you. Sometimes we think the big signs are loud, but the most powerful ones are often discreet. Like the day you had to tell your family about your relationship, and instead of fearing their reaction, you found smiles. Or that time you doubted your future with this person, but an opportunity arose, making it possible. It's in these small details that divine intervention slips in subtly. You can't plan it, you can't make it, but you can recognize it. And if you're experiencing this fluidity, this almost supernatural ease, it may not be a mere coincidence. It may be the silent response of a Lord who saw you try, fall, wait, and who today says to you, this is the time, this is the person, go, I am with you. 5. The consistency test. It's not just a phase. Emotions can lie. Butterflies in the stomach, they pass. But what you're feeling now is something else. This isn't a flash in the pan. This isn't a simple crush. It's a presence that remains, that persists, even when silence falls. You tried to ignore it. You told yourself it would pass. But this connection doesn't weaken. It doesn't crumble after the initial euphoria. It doesn't disappear when distractions return. And most importantly, this person comes back too, always. Not with vague excuses, not with uncertain gestures, but with stability, clarity, a willingness to do things right. No games, no manipulation, no disappearance followed by a sudden return. In a world where people leave as soon as it becomes uncomfortable, when someone stays, really, it's already a sign. And when you stay too, despite the time, despite the prayers to forget if it's not the right one, despite the questioning, then it's no longer just a desire. Perhaps it's divine guidance, because Allah doesn't always speak with flashes of lightning. Sometimes He speaks with constancy. You made Istikhara, and since then, things haven't become magical, but they have become clear. No spectacular dreams every night, but a dream here, a word there, a conversation overheard which answers your question exactly, a verse displayed at a precise moment, or simply this peace within you. When you think about moving forward in halal relations with this person, it's subtle, but it's real. And above all, this consistency isn't limited to what you feel. It can also be seen in the other person. He or she hasn't changed their stance after 3 weeks. He or she hasn't turned their back on you at the first sign of difficulty. He or she didn't wait for you to leave to realize your value. He or she is there, present, available, respectful, consistent. And this consistency, in a world where everything is disposable, where relationships are filled with back and forth, is perhaps the greatest sign you can receive. Because Allah doesn't send you perfect people. He sends you grounded people, people aligned with your soul, people who understand that love isn't just about the thrill, it's also about responsibility, patience, continuity. You don't need that person to tell you every day that they love you. You don't need spectacular promises. You just need to recognize one simple fact. That person is still here. and so are you. And in that still, there's much more than you think. Maybe there's your answer. 6. You grow closer to Allah together. There's a type of relationship that doesn't distract you, that doesn't put you to sleep, that doesn't make you run away from Allah, but brings you back to Him. And that one you can't mistake for simple attraction. Because since you've been interacting with this person, you don't just make them smile more, you pray more. You get up for Fajr with a little more rigor. You make dhikr while thinking about your future. You find yourself wanting to fast on Mondays and Thursdays, just to purify your intention. It's not them you want to impress. It's Allah you want to please. And that is already a miracle. When a relationship makes you want to purify yourself, to reform yourself, to become better, it's a heavenly sign. Because Allah doesn't unite you with someone just to fill an emotional void. He unites you so that you can build, so that you can move towards Him. And when this relationship becomes a driving force in your faith and not a hindrance, it means that you are no longer common. You are exceptional. This person doesn't push you to talk until midnight. They remind you to sleep early so as not to miss your prayer. They don't encourage you to see each other in secret. They encourage you to wait until the permissible moment. They don't satisfy your ego. They stimulate your nafs to elevate it. You talk about projects, yes, but not about vacations and excesses. You talk about commitment, inner hijrah, discipline, sabr. He or she inspires you to know yourself better, not just to love more deeply, but to worship more sincerely. And you too want to see him or her grow, not just economically, but spiritually. You want his or her heart to shine with adoration. You want him or her to be in the light, and you pray for that. You pray even when he or she doesn't know it. And then you understand. It's no longer just an attraction. It's a union, not yet official perhaps, but already blessed internally. And Allah, when He sees two hearts helping each other worship Him, He places barakah in their bond. He facilitates, He protects, He elevates. Because these hearts don't just want to love each other. They want to rise together. And in a world where everything tends toward the ephemeral, you have chosen the eternal. This kind of connection isn't something you seek. It's something you receive. And it's something you nurture with modesty, intention, and submission. So, if this person makes you want to draw closer to Allah, if this relationship makes your faith more stable, more alive, more real, remember, this isn't just a beautiful story. This may be the beginning of your spiritual mission together. So now that you know these signs, what is your heart telling you? It's not just a matter of attraction, it's a matter of destiny. But remember, even if all the signs are there, it is only by respecting Allah's limits that love can truly blossom and last. If this video resonated with you, share it with someone who needs a reminder. Save it to return to when doubts arise. And above all, ask Allah. He alone knows the heart. You are not alone, and your path to halal love may already be beginning.